Now, this is Political Lens on Voice of the People Television. We are broadcasting on Metro SLTV channel 22. Good evening and welcome. I am Chukwu Okoro. Today, we are looking at the recent attack on oil facilities by a group, MEND, Land and B, that have claimed responsibility for the attack. Well, let's bring in our guests. I'm joined by Comrade Pius Duko. Comrade Pius Duko is a journalist, public affairs analyst, and social affairs commentator. We also have Bishop Ibioku Gospel Bob Manuel. He's a doctor, public affairs analyst, former national vice president, Institute for Strategic Management, Nigeria. We'll also be joined by Honorable Felix Pascal Pulevo. He's a politician and public affairs analyst. Gentlemen, welcome and thanks for coming to Political Lens. Good evening, Pius. Okay.
God bless you.
Yeah, good evening, Okoro, welcome.
Okay, all right, good to have you. Now let's kick into the show. Explosions rocked the Niger Delta this weekend, and with them, a ghost from Nigeria's violent past has returned. The movement for the emancipation of Niger Delta men is back and have come with fire. At exactly 0200 hours, that's 2 a.m. on Sunday, the Ogada Brass Ajib trunk line was blown apart. Hours later, another strike, this time on the Orong River, right behind the Maritime Academy. This wasn't vandalism, it was a statement. Signed and sealed by the so-called Liberation Army of the Niger Delta and Bakassi, Land and B, the group declared open warfare against what they call usurpers of the People's Authority in River State. And their message to the other armed factions: do not let this insult go unpunished. Let that sink in. They are calling for a full-blown insurgency. Tonight, we are not asking gentle questions. We are demanding answers. Who is behind this resurgence? Why now? And is Nigeria about to slide back into chaos in the oil heartland? The government is silent, the people are afraid, and the militants are mobilizing. This is war signal. Niger Delta on the brink again. Well, this violence follows increasing unrest in River State after President Ahmed Bola Tinubu declared a state of emergency in March, leading to the suspension of Governor Similaya Fubara and the State Assembly. While pro- and anti-state emergency protests have held in Rivers to highlight the struggle for the soul of Rivers politics, with factions loyal to former Governor Nyesom Wike and the suspended Governor Sim Fubara spoiling for control. Let me start with you, the Bishop. What's going on in Rivers State? Who is really in charge of Rivers State? Is it the presidency? Is it the sole administrator? Is it the Abuja faction? Is it the Rivers faction? Or the gunmen now planting bombs in the creeks and trying to flush out those they call usurpers? Can you help us understand the true situation of things in Rivers State in terms of security? Who is in charge of Rivers State now?
Well, I must tell you that the situation in River State is pathetic. We in River State were also worried as any true Nigerian who will know. We anticipated these things. We had anticipated these reactions. But who is behind the reaction is what we cannot fathom, because various stakeholders are reacting to it. You can see the women protesting the state of emergency. You can see another group countering to say they're in support. There is no normal human being with the person's mind that will support in a civilian regime an elected government to be removed illegally and will come to the streets. These are all sponsored protests on just to make a point and to continue the agenda, not to call off before 6 months or after 6 months the state of emergency. And I think that is what is now increasing the federal government and what is happening. The administrator going on to appoint local government administrators, going on to dissolve existing boards and parastatals, going on to his body language is doing as if he's going to conduct a local government election. Those were not the things that during emergency you come to do. In emergency, you secure those things that are happening. It shows that is not competent. Those oil wealth and all those reactions, whether it's from Militant or anybody sponsoring them, those are the things that are supposed to forestall. Our land, they sent 10,000 military men because of the emergency. What are they doing? Why are they not manning the rigs and why are they not working with intelligence? And we are still having these things go on. You discover that we had more relative peace when the state was being ruled by the suspended governor. And right now, people are reacting. They have seen that the presidency was in a haste to declare the state of emergency, and they are not happy. Whether be the militants, be the anybody, these are all stakeholders of a kind. Be the women demonstrating. So we must know that the station time saves 9. The high time the presidency looks back at the
all right, Bishop, when you say that you anticipated this, you clearly said that you anticipated it. What did you anticipate? The breakdown of law and order before or after the state of emergency?
Yes, what we anticipated was one. The reasons given by the reasons why a state of emergency should be declared. Those issues were not existent at the time the state of emergency was declared. And even besides that, the president has the right, if the security report makes him to feel a little bit uncomfortable to the but we are not supposed to remove elected personnel like the governor, deputy governor, and the House of Assembly. That was done. So these people lost complete control. And here is a military retired man that is coming who does not know the ropes. He has not been in any strata of governance concerning state before. And you are leaving the state for him without no clear instructions on what he should do. And that is what has heightened the fear of the citizens.
Okay, Bishop, we have two groups. We have two groups. Bishop, we have two groups, the pro and anti-state of emergency, protesting for and against the state of emergency. In this instant, the average Rivers person, what is the opinion of the average, if you walk the streets of Rivers State, how do you feel when you feel the pulse of the people? Do you think that the people are happy about the declaration of the state of emergency, or that the people are against it? Because at this point, it is difficult for one to say, clearly, the Rivers people are for or against. If we have two groups, like you said, sponsored, who are these sponsors? Does it look like Abuja is sponsoring? Does it look like Rivers State is sponsoring? I mean, the factions based in Abuja and factions based in Rivers State. In the midst of all of this, what have the elders of Rivers State done to ensure that peace returns to Rivers State? I mean, they clearly took sides. Some took sides with the former governor. Some took sides. Majority of the past governors, I mean, you talk about Amechi, you talk about Omehia, you talk about Odele, they all took sides with Fubara. Should they have done that instead of calling for peace and calm and asking both parties to shield their swords? What is if you feel the pulse of the people, what do you think the Rivers people are up against? What is their feeling about what is going on in Rivers State?
I'm a Rivers man and I have an opinion. The opinion is that I'm not talking about the two sides. In the first place, there was no need for that. Governance is strictly everybody at his own strata should know what to do. The governor should have been allowed to govern. It does not need to be supported by anybody. Politics is about interest. The minister is supposed to do his job. So if there are infiltration, what the president would have done was to call these people to order, was not to encourage anybody to come and infiltrate into the order, just like his administration is. The point is this: people have the right to associate, whether they are past governors, whether they are this, they are that. That is politics for you. We have past presidents.
But Bishop, the president did intervene at a point. He called both parties to
Abuja. That's what I'm telling you. Okay. The presidential intervention was also not was also almost partisan, and it was lopsided. That was why people went against it, and he couldn't hold any water. And the same thing we're talking, that since the matter was politicized, it became, even what is happening in Rivers State now, If you look at the first protest the women did, now they did it against this, and this today now is countering it. That does not mean that the average Rivers man is happy. The people that are doing it, there are already people benefiting from the state of emergency.
Okay.
You don't expect them to fold their hands. If there is already people coming out to say, no, bring back the governor, we want democracy back in Rivers State, of course you understand that those who were perhaps responsible or who the state of emergency is a kind of favoring now.
Okay.
They won't fold their hands. They have resources now.
All right. Thank you very much, Bishop. Thanks very much, Bishop. Now let's bring in Mr. Pius Duko into this conversation. Pius, what intelligence failure allowed this coordinated attack to happen without a single preemptive move from the security agencies? I mean, the president had said clearly that he had information that there would be total breakdown of law and order that warranted in the first place the declaration of a state of emergency. Was it intelligence failure that led to the success of this attack, or is the government prompting it to give credibility to the state of emergency? The president said, look, I have information that there will be total breakdown of law and order, and he declared a state of emergency. After that, there is more like a breakdown of law and order within the oil industry. Is it the government? Does it mean that the government didn't have this information before it happened? Or is it the government that is prompting it to give credibility to the state of emergency, to say, well, we told you that this was going to happen? What's your reaction to that?
Thank you, Mr. Okoro. I think most times people who feed information to government personnel are not doing most favor. They do disservice and they do eye service, and they don't want to report the correct information. So I think the issue of breakdown and order within the oil sector is the whole pattern of protest. I can think that the people who are within the those very far into the ocean, in the creeks, and who also sleep with those pipes are also protesting that, look, this is not supposed to be so. You can also hear the heated debate in Bayelsa State when a lot of people raise alarm that the rally of Mr. Wike and others should not hold. And by whatever providence, either court, injunction or whatever, they withdrew. And peace is happening now in Bayelsa State. Everybody is happy. So I think the initial stage of declaring a state of emergency, for reasons that are not cogent and verifiable, should not have taken place. And that is the first step of mistake. However, mistake happens all over the world. Even Donald Trump make mistake. Even Gorbachev, all the big men, past president, make mistakes. And you can withdraw your mistake. There is nothing wrong. There is no shame in saying, okay, I'm sorry. Because when they even told him that there's a lopsided appointment that Yoruba people benefited, I saw a press statement that says he apologizes about that and say, okay, he has taken note of it. Why can't that one also happen in the issue of state of emergency? So I think it is very important that we look at those. Yaradua, former President Yaradua suffered a lot to bring the situation into a peace deal in the Niger Delta. You also passed. You know what happened in the past when Yaradua was president. And he took a very bold step, strike the deal, call the militant, talk to them before peace returned. He made a lot of sacrifice.
Okay.
So I don't think anybody or any group of people will come back again and bring back that situation that we have left in the past. And when somebody...
Okay, Pius, let me stay with you. You said something that is quite instructive. Can you hear me, Pius? Okay, you said something that is quite instructive. You said that the people that went back to the creeks, that this is their own form of protest against what is going on in Rivers State. Now, my question is, at what point does sabotage become a legal instrument in the pursuit of justice, in the pursuit of peace? Do you think that there's a legal accommodation for what they have done to say, look, we don't want this? This is clearly sabotage, destruction of critical national assets putting the economy of the nation in harm's way. And you said that this is their own form of protest. Are there legal instruments to accommodate this kind of protest? At what point does it become legal to use this track in the pursuit of justice? Pius, can you hear me? Hello, Pius, can you hear me? Okay, we seem to be having a technical glitch. Bishop Bob Manuel, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay, we seem to be having an audio glitch with Pius Duko. So he said something. He said like the boys that have gone back to the creeks, that this is their own form of protest. And I asked him, which I would like for you to chime in on too. At what point does this kind of sabotage, blowing up critical national assets, become a legal instrument in the pursuit of peace? Do you think that there are legal frameworks to accommodate this, to say, look, these young men have not done anything wrong because they are looking for justice, they are looking for peace? This is clearly sabotage. Is there any accommodation for that within the precincts of the law?
Well, I am not
a lawyer.
An unlawful. Okay. I'm not an unlawful person, and I will not say people should take laws into their hands. About smoke without fire. You know, I've warned.
Bishop, go ahead. I can hear you.
The INC, they even met with the president, and they made it known that if this matter is handled with the kids globe, they may not be able to continue to talk to the people that are aggrieved. We are not saying everybody uses what he has to bargain.
Oh, unfortunately, I can't get your audio feed. Both Pius and the bishop. Now let's go for a short break.
There is an oppression.
Okay.
There is an oppression that if it continues, we are going to react in such a way that you should know that we're not happy. So what Duko is saying is not legitimizing people taking laws into their hand. But these are all stakeholders in their various ways. They have been recognized by the state as non-state actors. And so it's for most of us who are even learned and who are even civil, nobody listens to us again. It's like the violent people, both the bandits and all that, are the people that we will listen to. So what is happening now are different forms of agitation for the right thing to be done, for the federal government to address everybody's interest logically, that we can restore peace in Rivers State and in the Niger Delta.
Okay, all right. Thanks very much, Bishop. Now I understand that we've established connections with Honorable Pascal Felix Poulevo. Good evening to you, Honorable Poulevo, and thanks for coming to Political Lens.
My pleasure, sir. My pleasure.
Okay, big one. Now we are discussing the bedlam, in Rivers State. Last night, on Sunday, 2 a.m. on Sunday, men struck and they destroyed oil installations. As far as Oron River, between the Ajib flow station and where it connects to the Oron River, behind the Maritime Academy. I don't know if you are familiar with that area, but the thing is that critical national assets were destroyed in the process, and MEND and Land and B claimed responsibility for all of that. Now, in the face of what is happening, do you think with the return of MEND, and has the president's state of emergency, has it become a spark that reignited full-scale military? I mean, there was no violence before the declaration. Does it look like the president just took violence by his action? And what if, there is no, in parts of the north, there is total breakdown of law and order, yet there's not been any declaration of the state of emergency. Why Rivers State? Is it because of the oil?
Thank you very much, sir. So for me, I've said it countless times that the issues in rivers, especially as it has to do with the state of emergency, the state of emergency was the best decision the president had to take. And I still maintain that position, despite the fact that others differ with it. But one critical thing we must ask ourselves is, what would have happened on the 19th or 20th of March if the president had not declared the state of emergency on 18th? It's a fundamental question a lot of us need to ask ourselves. Secondly, we must look at our democracy beyond individuals. The whole thing now is centered on Fubara and Wike. But then it is about our democracy. It is not about these two individuals. Our democracy as a system, this country is bigger than these two individuals. And so when we are making most of our analysis and only centering on the two individuals, I think we are ridiculing and bringing down our democracy to a level that is bigger than. For example, when now those who are for Fubara are causing mayhem, or those for Wiki are causing mayhem, who is suffering? It is our democracy that we are putting at stake. The international community will be laughing at us. Nobody wants to do business with us because they will feel that that patriotism for nationhood is not there. And so what led to the state of emergency? What led to the declaration of the state of emergency? We have three arms of government in this country. We have the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. One arm, there is always just supposed to be checks and balances. But then no one arm should take or assume the position of another arm. For example, the governor on suspension, we have to accept this is the reality. The governor on suspension, when these lawmakers defected to another party, the constitution says when you defect, you lose your seat, right? But the decision of you losing your seat is not for the executive to execute, but rather for the judiciary to implement. So if they cross-carpeted, it was not for the governor to begin to withdraw from them certain privileges and rights of theirs as elected legislators of Rivers State. It was supposed to be that the governor will approach the court of competent jurisdiction and complain to them that these guys have cross-carpeted, and the courts will pronounce their seats vacant. But the governor made himself the judiciary, that these people cross-carpeted, declared their seats vacant, and refused to do business with them. Refused to do business not only with these 27 lawmakers, but refused to do business with the hundreds of constituents they represent. Shortchange them of their rights and privileges. Gave them no opportunity of their voices being heard. Made them voiceless for the number of months that they were away. Went as far as demolishing the State House of Assembly, where they are supposed to be having their regular sittings. That is an affront on our democracy. It's beyond these two individuals. It is about our democracy.
Okay, I like the fact that all right, Honorable Pelivo, I like the fact that you have come back to the issue of democracy. Now, democracy, how do we define democracy? Government of the people, by the people, and for the people. I don't know if you are familiar with one Sir Ivor Jennings. He's an accomplished English philosopher. He said, because you clearly have an issue with the fact that the whole of River State politics is centered on two people, Fubara and Wike. Sir Ivor Jennings said, look, the people cannot decide until someone decides who the people are. Now, that said, you recall too that because you are of the opinion that the governor, the suspended governor, didn't handle the case very well. Are you also aware that in the Hansard of the Rivers Assembly legislative proceedings, there is a record where the deputy speaker clearly said that the 26 lawmakers, including the speaker, are making them 27, have defected to the APC. That is on the one hand. When they went to Abuja for peace meeting for reconciliation, the president said, okay, go back and withdraw all the cases. The governor went and pulled out his own case. The 27 lawmakers didn't do that. And it was on the basis of that they were able to pull the rug off the feet of the governor. when the Supreme Court eventually said, even without the case being before the Supreme Court gave the 27 lawmakers what they clearly didn't ask for by asking the governor to represent the 2025 budget to them. The governor tried. They pushed back. They didn't give him access until the president now stepped in and declared a state of emergency. In all of this, do you still blame the governor for what happened or for what went down in Rivers State? Don't you think that he made efforts to make peace with the other factions, with the other camp?
Sir, I still maintain my position on the basis that the governor fueled most of this crisis that we are having today.
Okay.
That's the truth of the matter.
Okay.
The president played a fatherly role. He called all parties together. He said, go and withdraw your cases, sit down with each other and sort out this issue. The governor withdrew his own. They refused to. And it escalated to the point where the Supreme Court...
Honorable Felix, at that point, what did you expect the governor to do? To sit idly by and watch?
Excellent. When he did not withdraw, when they did not withdraw their case, right? When they did not withdraw their case, that it led to the point it did. You know, when issues were beginning to take a different form, the president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He swore to protect all of us and our properties in this country. And so when he now saw the way things were turning out, as a father, he has to protect the interests of this country first. So his declaration of state of emergency was not out of place. Now, the governor, you said, made efforts to represent the budget as directed by the Supreme Court. To a large extent, sir, with due respect to the suspended governor, he was only acting. If today I write to see him, I will have to wait for his reply. I will have to wait for an affirmation to my request to see him. You can't just write to them today. You've not received a reply from them that they are ready to see you. Then the next day you just went. Look at how it all happened, sir. He had his cameraman on ground. He had the microphone people. He went there. Immediately he arrived. You know, he knew they were not going to welcome him. He just went there so that he can attract sympathy from Nigerians. We are supposed to be bigger than this. You wrote them. If they have refused, there are other legislative options and legal options you can explore. The governor could still approach the courts that I have written them, soliciting in compliance with the court directive, soliciting to represent the budget before them. And they are not granting me audience. And the court can give an order mandating them to sit on a particular day and time. And it would have sorted it. But then eventually, people were beginning to make utterances that if I'm being removed, if I'm being impeached, you know, it's not going to go well. This one, that one. When they were planning to sit, when he knew they were going to sit somewhere, you are sending people to go on. So all those back and forth. Is this the kind of society you want to govern as a governor? That's the question. You know, so many...
The federal government... Okay, the federal government seems to be silent while pipelines are burning and armed groups openly declaring war in Rivers State, even when there's a state of emergency. Now, do we expect to see an upsurge in military activities going forward? Because, like, I mean, we have a military and a sole administrator who has a military background. We have 10,000 soldiers deployed to Rivers State. I like the question I asked Pius Duko, isn't this a failure of intelligence? I mean, the president clearly said, I have information that there will be breakdown of law and order. The president said that he had information when the first pipeline burst, the day after he declared state of emergency. Now, didn't he have information that this was going to happen? Do you think that the government is trying to prompt this, to give credence, to say, look, I mean, we told you that this was going to happen. That was why we declared the state of emergency. Do you think that the government is complicit in that attack? Why didn't they preempt it? Why didn't they take proactive steps to ensure? Because MEND, Ijaw Youth Congress, people of the militants had clearly warned. If you take out Fubara, this is what you are going to get. So why didn't the military, why didn't the security agencies proactively stop this from happening? What do you think is happening? Is there any kind of complicity on the part of government?
So I think for me, Pandev, the Niger Delta groups, the elders and stakeholders of rivers need to come together and say our community is bigger than these two people. They need to come and emphasize to the young people there that we are the ones losing in the face of all this crisis. Fubara is not losing, Wike is not losing, Mr. President is not losing. We are the people losing. We are putting our names in the bad map in this country and internationally. We are the ones that are suffering it. These destructions at the end of the day is going to tell more in our community. As much as you think you want to destroy pipelines that is the main source of revenue for the country, at the end of the day, we are just going to cause provocation. When the military, for example, now begin to react hard, who are those that will be killed? Is it not the sons and daughters of that community? So I think to a large extent, in the face of this vandalism, when there is a fire outbreak, who are those that will suffer it? Who are those that will die? If curfews are being declared, whose businesses are going to suffer? Schools will be closed down. Their children cannot go to school. Their businesses will be closed down. They cannot move around to do their normal life. They will be the ones at the receiving end. We must be able to caution ourselves that this thing is bigger than just these two people. It is the fact of soldier come, soldier go, barrack remains, and we are the barracks.
Okay,
When the people begin to take side in this, they will suffer more.
Okay.
When the people begin to say they are either for Fubara or for Wike, the people will suffer more.
All right. Thanks very much, Honorable Pulevo. Now, let's go back to Port Harcourt, where we still have Mr. Pius Duko and Bishop Bioboko Bob Manuel. Now, Bishop, let me ask you, now the suspension of Sim Fubara and the dismantling of the State Assembly, do you think that it has created a dangerous vacuum that militant groups are now trying to exploit? How much of what we are seeing in Rivers State is a direct fallout? That's another track of the question. How much of what we see is a direct fallout of the Tinubu-Wike alliance? Has it gone bad? Does it look like there's a crack in the wall between the president and Wike? Like, I keep going back to that question. Who is clearly in charge of Rivers State now? Bishop, can you hear me, sir? Hello, Bishop, can you hear me? Pius Duko, are you in? Can you hear me? Okay, now let me stay with you, Honorable Pulevo. I've lost contact with the Port Harcourt guys. So let me stay with you. Now, my question is this. Do you think that the suspension of Sim Fubara, you are clearly in support of the president suspending the governor and the State House of Assembly? Now, look at what we have. But does it look like, because some people have also claimed that, look, that what the president did was not against Fubara, but against Wike, because that the president, through the sole administrator, is now clearly in charge of Rivers State. Is there any semblance of truth in what they have said?
Hello, can I answer?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Yes, Duko, go ahead. Pius, go ahead. Hello, Pius, go ahead. I can hear you. Okay, we seem to have an audio glitch with both guests. Now, we'll go for a short break, and when we return, we'll try to establish contact with them. Stay with us.
From the views on the street,
we go to bed empty hunger,
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lodge.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries. Voice of the People, 90.3 FM, became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents.
Corruption kills three things that makes a society.
Representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people.
All right, thanks for staying with us. This is Political Lens, and we've been speaking with Bishop Bob Manuel, Mr. Pius Duko, and Honorable Felix Pulevo. Gentlemen, thanks for staying with us. Now, let me come back to you, Pius. Pius, my question was, now the suspension of Sim Fubara as governor and the dismantling of the State Assembly, don't you think that it created a dangerous vacuum that the militant groups are now exploiting? And if you look at it again, like I said, some people allege clearly that what happened in Rivers State, the declaration of a state of emergency, was more like a coup against Nyesom Wike and not even Sim Fubara. Because after like 6 months, there is a possibility that Sim will come back. Now, Wike is out of the space. It is the president that is clearly in charge through the sole administrator. Is it some kind of alliance between Tinubu and Wike gone bad? Can we have your reaction on that? Okay, Bishop Bob Manuel, did you get my question, sir?
I heard.
Okay, go ahead, sir. Can I have your response?
Okay, well, there are many conspiracy theories in this emergency. I will tell you that even the politics of 2027 is even factored into it. That's why I'm saying that my brother who spoke from the end, he was talking as if these things wouldn't have been managed. The governor, the House of Assembly members, all of them would have been managed effectively if there was sincerity or purpose. But in this case, it was more of interest groups of who control the polity of Rivers State. And that was what was paramount in the people and in the players. And that is why I see different interest groups are reacting the way they feel, because they don't seem to see any sincerity of purpose. When you talk of the governor maybe sidelining the assemblymen and all that, I want to tell my brother that there were cases in court, from the state high court to the appeal court at all this point until the Supreme Court finally spoke. So for somebody to say the governor took laws into their hands, they were all testing the law and what was happening in Rivers State in the open court. And judgments were being given, rulings were being given. And these were what they stood upon until today. So if the elected people, both the governor and all this rest of them, have the interest of the people, they will share the sword. No, the president does not need to call them. Is it the only House of Assembly we have in Nigeria, or the only governor we have in Nigeria? Other states who don't even have resources rivers have, don't they have peace? People are instrumental to this crisis, and they have taken interest, and their interest is what is playing out, including the state of emergency.
Okay, Bishop, I have lost your voice. I can't hear you anymore. Can you hear me, sir? Okay. Unfortunately, we've lost Bishop again, and this is where. Hello, sir. Bishop, go ahead.
The network is bad.
Go ahead. I can hear you, sir.
Yes, I said we should keep our personal interests behind and look at the corporate interests of the state, the people, and the country. I think that it is high time the president call off the state of emergency and let normalcy come into the state. And I think it's going to help the reaction of all the parties, both those demonstrating, the citizens of Rivers State, and the country at large. When the president is controlling the governor, the National Assembly is controlling the governor, the various interest groups are all controlling one, the man will be confused.
Okay. All right. Bishop, let's talk about the implication of these of the return of militants to the creeks in Niger Delta. How much of an impact do you think it will make on the Nigerian economy?
I will tell you that
exactly
the return of militants, there is no return anything. These things are all politics. For instance, there are a group of people who want the state of emergency to be extended, and they are looking for justification. If you investigate this matter, it could even be those who are for the state of emergency that are even behind these militants, because they all have access to the militants before now as political gladiators. If now, to justify that in the next 6 months, Fubra should not come back, a group of people, Fubra is in his house, how does he talk with militants? How does he meet with them? The people, the powers that be and all that, you can see the rally in Bayelsa, you can see all that. Is trying to, how will I say, put fire into the Niger Delta. And all those things could lead, not even the River State issue alone. Militants have been talking based on political proposals of rally and no rally and a lot of other things. So how are we even choice because of Fubra that these things are happening? People are angry, they're agitated.
Exactly my point, Bishop. If people are angry and people are agitated, and we have seen oil pipelines, facilities being blown up, and you say that it is not a full-blown return to militancy, what exactly is it?
What I mean is not a full-blown. Okay. I'm saying that most of this happening at this particular time have political undertone.
Okay.
Number one, I've told you that there are people who want, after all, the president said that the 6 months is in the first instance. People want the state, people are benefiting from the state of emergency. There is no problem in Rivers State before the state of emergency. Now we are seeing problems.
In all of this, why is it difficult for the intelligence community to actually get the people behind this? We have men, land and bid, that have claimed responsibility. Are we still and we are still looking for people behind this?
Up to the Supreme Court.
Oh, well, I think, unfortunately, this is where we have to end the show. We've been speaking with Bishop Bob Manuel. He's a political affairs analyst. We also had Mr. Pius Duko. Pius is a journalist as well as a public affairs commentator. We're also joined virtually by Mr. Felix Pascal Poulevo, who is a politician as well as public affairs analyst. Gentlemen, thanks for coming to Political Lens. We appreciate your presence. I am Chukwuma Okoro, and up next is Issues with Jerry Apalehai. Bye for now and enjoy the rest of your day.